good evening. Welcome to the High Octane podcast. This is a Friday night fuel production. My name is Zach, and I don't know if you people out there in YouTube land know this or not, but there are some people who speculate after his failed championship run this year, Denny Hamlin might be falling off a cliff. And I have been very proactive about this take. So I have dumped Denny Hamlin and have grabbed Cliff Kingsbury here as my co-host. Say hello to the internet, Ricky.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to episode 7, Throwback edition here on the High Octane podcast. And yeah, I appreciate that, Zach. I've been called worse, I think. So to be compared to Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, I definitely take it. Everybody else in the world thinks I'm a Mexican Denny Hamlin. So I guess it could be worse. We could have other comparisons of people, and I'll definitely take those comparisons.
Well, we have a jam-packed show for you tonight here on High Octane. We have a lot to go through. We've been gone for quite a little while because Friday Night Fuel took a Thanksgiving break, which means we have to reach way back into the rearview mirror and recap Nashville Super Speedway. We also have a points update for you guys as this league continues to press upon its playoff push. We have this race and one more to establish a playoff field, so really excited to see what happens with Friday Night Fuel as the playoffs start to take some shape here on Friday nights. And then we're gonna have some fun at the pit stop tonight. Thanksgiving Day debates between Ricky and myself, and I hope all of you out there in the chat might be able to chime in as well when it comes to our Thanksgiving opinions and what we are looking forward to seeing on the table. Maybe what's the most important thing that comes across our Thanksgiving meals. We'll talk about that later. And, of course, being the Darlington Throwback week for Friday Night Fuel, we have some awesome paints for you guys to take a look at, as I've been able to curate some of the paints, not all of the paints, that are going to be out there on track this week. We're going to talk about them tonight and talk between Ricky and myself and y'all out there in YouTube land over why these paints are significant and what you think about these throwbacks. And then, of course, giving you the keys to Darlington as Friday Night Fuel takes on the track Too Tough to Tame. Really excited to get the show on the road here with you guys, so let's look in the rear view for a little while as we talk Nashville Super Speedway. Ricky, I know that this has been quite a while ago, but as the guy who winds up winning the race, you're probably the one with the greatest memory of anybody when it comes to Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to just stay within the top 5 the whole time we were in the race. So we got those stage points at the halfway break, and yeah, Nate was probably the dominant car, class of the field. Nate Eastep in the 55 and of 1776, and I feel like if he doesn't make a last chance pit road mistake, everybody knows when it's money stop time, and for us it was going to be between me and him, and unfortunately for him, he was almost 90 degrees coming to pit road and had to lock it up, save it, and then get back going again, and we just hit our marks, and when I saw he pitted, I pitted a lap later than him. When I saw that he pitted, I was wondering if he was going to be able to make up some ground, maybe take control of the race. And then we come out of the pits, and he was 5 seconds behind, and he's playing catch up mode now, and now you run harder. Now you're wearing your tires out a little bit more than what we were doing when we were just kind of just riding, passing people as we could, and he never could get back to where he was. He still finished third, which is a great finish, or I think he still finished second. Sorry, John Gutekunst came in third. But yeah, it was a great day for us up front. We got around you. You pitted early. A couple drivers, you were a part of that. A couple drivers pitted early just to go off sequence to try to gain that track position. I remember at one point, the leader at one point, who was Blake Henderson in the 25, who made his Friday Night Field debut last 2 weeks ago at Nashville. He was a full back straightaway ahead of us, and in my head I'm thinking, is there enough time to get to Blake so we could at least get a podium spot or possibly get second? that was the goal when I saw how far he was, and then we just reeled him in, and we got by you, and then we got by John T pretty easily, who was battling a lap car, and I think the lap car was just trying to stay out of the way the whole time. Wasn't really battling Garrett. He was maintaining speed with him, and so we got by around the lap car, got around Garrett, and then off of two, we had a huge run going on Blake, and Blake did what he had to do. He defended his position, and he kind of blocked me going down the back, going into three, and that's what I expect. I'm not even talking trash about him as a driver. That's just as guys that are trying to win a race, you gotta win, right? And especially for him coming into a league brand new, I know how he wants to win races. Everybody in this league wants to win races. So he did what he had to do, protected his position, and we raced super clean going into three, and we were able just to get the power down and drive away. So very thankful to come out with 2 wins now on the season. And now our focus is chasing more checkered flags. We said this in our voice chat at TTR. We're not here to just participate. We're here to chase banners and win races. So we checked that box. We won another race for the team, and we have good momentum with the quality of people that we have on our team, and hopefully we can keep that momentum up this weekend here at Darlington.
Really cool to be able to spell that out for us as the race winner. I fondly put in the Friday Night Fuel chat, I am responsible for half of what just happened, as I picked your brother to win this race. So I got the last name right, and I will count that as 0.5 correct when it comes to tallies on predictions. So going over the top 5, of course, Ricky the winner, then Nate Eastep, John Gutekunst, Blake Henderson, and then John T. Garrett rounding out your top 5 at a track that featured 180 laps with 2 cautions, and really just a great race. You had a lot of green flag runs, and drivers were able to come and go, and tire wear, we talked about all those things, and it really came into play at a really unique racetrack. Hopping from that track to another unique one here in a little bit. It's all really exciting stuff here for Friday Night Fuel. I see some folks there in the chat. Hi, Mayo. Thank you for jumping off the fishing boat in order to talk to us. And see you in the chat as well, Spence. Going to talk about your team's paints here in just a little while. So really excited for that. Let's talk to you guys about how the points now shake up coming out of Nashville Superspeedway. Now, the quest for the championship is right on the horizon for these drivers, but there's still a couple more opportunities to put your name in the conversation when it comes to chasing a championship. As we bring up the points here, Ricky, what stands out to you as the field starts to take shape for this playoff run?
Yeah, I'm looking at race 10, our last race, and seeing some of the guys, Chafin 33, Bryce Bohr 29. I'm just trying to quickly go down it. Mark Gonzalez 25, Kirby Caputa 28, Wade Burris 28, Greg Wood Sr. 24, but that's kind of been his benchmark all year long. Those guys struggled the 2 weeks ago. Mark was disconnected. He left the voice chat, ended his Twitch stream early, and he said, you know what, I'm putting it on the hauler. I'm struggling. I can't figure this thing out. Another thing that stands out to me was Bryce. That's probably, besides Daytona, it's Daytona. I don't really count that as our, it is our first race, but you can't really count that when we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the real life stuff. You can't, your Atlanta, Talladegas, and Daytonas, we don't really, that's an X Factor race. Anybody can win those, right? That's his worst race of the season so far. And I was extremely shocked to see how much he struggled. And I don't know if he got caught up in a wreck. You mentioned it. We had 2 cautions. I don't remember why we had that 1 caution, if I'm being honest. I remember the stage break, and that was it. And we were green flag racing all the way to the end. But those guys, Mark and Bryce, it's extremely shocking to see how much they struggled 2 weeks ago. And then credit to Marcus Chafin. I know he kind of struggled too last 2 weeks ago. I keep saying last week like we had raced, but 2 weeks ago I know that team and that driver struggled too. So I want to see them bounce back this week. We're going to a place where I feel like it could possibly suit his driving style, where he could get back to where we see that consistent number throughout the season that he's had. And then Wes sitting in 4th. You can't count him out. I know he has up and downs days, just as much as everyone else. And then I'm just trying to quickly, briefly go through everything. Um, Wade Burris and Gary Donaldson. I mean, that's your cut line sitting right here, right at the moment, by 2 points. And so I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago about them getting stage points, right? That's another factor. That 2 point buffer. If you look at the race 10 column, 4 point swing right there, right? So anything could happen with those two. It looks like Wade outpointed. Oh no, Gary didn't. Yeah, Gary. Yeah, 4 point swing, right? So Gary gains a little bit on that. And so now if I'm those two, man, you just got to finish in front of each other now at this point. There's not going to be 12 different winners. Those two are racing each other now. I wouldn't even care about the competition. Wouldn't even care about racing for a win right now, even though it's winning you're in. I would make it an emphasis to finish in front of each other if I'm those two drivers.
Yeah, bringing up the rookie class as well. This isn't just a battle for the championship cutoff anymore. This is really going to determine if one of these guys makes it into the playoff field and the other one doesn't. That's your rookie competition, right? Or it's all buttoned up. So right around the playoff bubble, these guys are really battling it out, Gary and Wade, and making this super interesting. I'm really excited to see how this rookie class continues to compete for a playoff spot. So it's really amazing, given the quality of the field, to have a few of these rookies now vying for playoff positioning.
Yeah, and if I'm one of those two guys, Wade or Gary, whoever makes it, you're right. That is a great accomplishment to come in. I know Gary's been doing this for a while. I know Wade is more of the dirt guy, and he's trying to learn asphalt, and he's done those two have done a phenomenal job this season. And so I think it would be a great accomplishment with the pedigree of competitors that we have in this field to say that I can race for a championship in my first season. That's all you can ask for. I know I keep using personal experiences on this show, and I will continue to do that. That was the goal for me when we started Ghosts season 1. I just wanted to make the playoffs, get through round of 16, be in the round of 12, be competitive, and next thing I know, we're in the round of 8. And confidence, man, you just build so much confidence when you advance into the round of the playoffs. And so for those two guys, just make it. If you can make it, anything can happen. We don't know what happens in these races. People could be pissed off at work. And come in and take it out on the sim, and now your day's ruined because of somebody else's emotions, which it happens, But if I'm Wade and Gary, you gotta find a way to just get in. And you said it, Zach. That's probably going to determine who our Rookie of the Year is.
Absolutely, and I guess what I can bring here to the points conversation in terms of just some things to keep an eye on as we get rid of just the rookie graphic here. Take a look at, you talked about Mark earlier, and also Kirby Caputo. We've talked about him quite a bit in the points conversation as well. They dropped 4 points after a bad day 2 weeks ago. So there's still a lot of ground to be either gained or lost, depending on how bad your bad day really is. And those swings up there, yeah, look how close those points are between, let's just say, Brett and Ryan Moutre, really. And you can put a blanket over those guys. Huge swings there.
Yeah, and those guys at any moment could pass each other up. The guy I'm also looking at is Nate Eastep. I mean, 41, 47, 51. You can see they're starting to hit their stride after he missed race number 7. Starting to hit that stride now, and he was up 2 spots 2 weeks ago. He was probably up another 2 or 3 spots before that race. Or no, he probably lost a couple. Oh no, I'll take that back. He gained probably more. That's a driver on the rise right now. He's probably putting his hat in his name in the hat to run for a championship, to be one of the 4 drivers that could do that. And then Brett Bullard up 3. Even though I know he struggled a little bit, I know 51. We gave him the extra stage points because of the provisional that he was supposed to be received. But up 3, hey, I'll take that as a TTR driver. So as TTR sits 4, 5, 7, and 9, I mean all 4 of us, like Hendrick Motorsports did, and their playoffs, we're sitting good. We're hoping to race for a championship when it's all said and done.
Good stuff. Good stuff. As we break away here from the points, and now you can see our beautiful, beautiful faces now. We are going to now take a break and take a pit stop together. And this is the time in the show where we take a pause from talking about particularly Friday Night Fuel, and we're sort of led into wherever we want to go. And normally we talk about the world of motorsport and, you know, different gaming news and things like that. I'm sure at some point soon we're going to get more significant updates on the iRacing NASCAR console game. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that. I know you and I have, you know, sort of our racing lineage back into the console side of things, so that'll be fun to talk about. And normally this is where that is gonna take us, but not today, because last week we had Thanksgiving, and I figured it'd be a really cool time to sit around and talk about how your Thanksgiving went, how you guys in the chat spent Thanksgiving. You know, the really cool thing about iRacing is it brings a bunch of different people from many different walks of life and all together in one big pot. And it's really cool to hear about different traditions and whatnot that other people have that are totally foreign to me. So I know we have some creative cards out there in the YouTube chat land, so I'm excited to hear about this. But what is, I guess, if you could name a dish that is unique to your family at Thanksgiving that you like really look forward to, what would that be?
Oh man, obviously the turkey, right? But I'm gonna go side dish. I'm gonna say green bean casserole. That's the one thing. My aunt's green bean casserole. I can eat that sucker by itself. It's so good. And then my cousin made deviled eggs, so we had some deviled eggs, and those were amazing. Had bacon with it, so
Nice.
those were good. And then the mac and cheese, man, you can't go wrong with mac and cheese. We look forward to that, and then just spending time with family. That's the main thing. Got to see my nephew. He's 3 years old, so I got a chance to hang out with him, and he always brings a smile to my face and lightens up the room every time he walks in, just because of how old he is right now. Now, when he's a teenager, he's probably gonna be a little punk, and that's all teenagers at punks. We were teenagers at one time. I know I was a punk when I was a teenager, so.
Yeah.
But and then just getting around watching the Cowboy game. My family, we've lived in Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area my entire life, and so getting around, eating around the Lions game whenever they played, and then wrapping everything up, and we're eating pie and watching the Cowboys. So that's kind of what we did this Thanksgiving, and then after it was halftime, I decided to just come back to the house and kind of be to myself and relax the rest of the day. And but it was good to see my brother, my parents, my grandparents, my aunt, my cousin and her husband and her daughter. And the biggest person I wanted to see was my grandfather. He's always been somebody I looked up to. It's been a while since I've been over there. So to see him, we got a chance to catch up and talk, and he got to check on me, how I was doing, and it just, and see what he was doing, what he was up to. And it was just really refreshing to have that moment with him, just because he means so much to me of how close we are with our relationship. So yeah, that was pretty cool to get a chance to speak with him, and he get to crack some jokes on me every now and then.
I see out here in the chat, David Mayo, one of his meals that's unique to their gathering is butternut squash and then fruit salad. So good on you. Good on you. Butternut squash. That is that's a Woods family thing as well. Not at Thanksgiving, but like my wife loves butternut squash, so we're all into that. So I can't, Thanksgiving this year was a little bit different for us. My wife worked, and I of course was home here with the kids, and being able to sort of be in charge of Thanksgiving. Nearly my whole life I've spent Thanksgiving at my grandparents' house, and that just didn't come to fruition this year. And so I ventured off into the great unknown, Ricky, of being responsible for Thanksgiving. And let me tell you, that was an adventure and a half. And You get the stuffing too wet and you put it inside the turkey and then it doesn't cook right. And I mean, I was floundering there for a little while, but I'll tell you what, I found a tradition that my wife Kayla has already stamped her seal of approval on, and that was a uh, a turkey that is maple roasted turkey. So basically, like the whole basting and the innards of the turkey, it's very heavy on maple syrup, and it was just like very. It was a sweeter turkey, and the meat was really tender, and everything turned out very good. And then towards the very end, you shingle bacon on top of the turkey. And oh yeah, and I don't know if you know what maple bars are, but in the Pacific Northwest, they have bacon covered maple bars, and they're a Krispy Kreme thing, and they're a donut, and it's a bar, and it's just maple on maple with bacon on top of it. And I had the turkey version of a maple bar, and I was in heaven, man. So that's probably the dish I'm looking most forward to next Thanksgiving, is that awesome turkey. So let's see here. Hawaiian rolls from Bryce. Hey, forgot all about the bread. I'm a big bread guy. Hawaiian rolls dipped in mashed taters and gravy. So yeah, I totally agree.
See the southern accent right there, that with Bryce. Mashed taters.
Mashed
You got to say it like that, Zach. Mashed taters.
Mashed taters. My Arkansas side of me only comes out when I'm mad, and I can't get mad talking about Hawaiian rolls. Those things are awesome. So, all right. Well, good little chat here. Now, I think we can't leave Thanksgiving without ruffling some feathers. So Ricky,
There we go.
I want to ask you, what's the most overrated dish at Thanksgiving?
Oh man, overrated dish. I was not prepared for this question. And for the viewers out there, I mean, we do go over with what we're going to talk about, but we didn't go over with what we're going to talk about today. So man, you put me on the spot. Worst most overrated dish. Oh man, I'm going to have to probably cranberry sauce. I think that's so overrated. I'm not a cranberry sauce fan. I don't like it.
The stuff out of the can?
Over.
The
Yeah.
stu-
It could be, I don't care if it's canned, fresh,
Oh.
I don't care. It's
Oh.
overrated.
Oh, oh, chat.
I
Chat.
can't stand cranberry sauce.
Go on without me, chat. Oh no. Oh, my heart. Oh, somebody get him. Oh.
And I'm looking at Bryce. Bryce just said white meat. I agree with that too. I don't like white meat. Give me the dark stuff. White meat's too dry for me. It makes my
Yep.
no, thank you. I'm with Bryce on that one too. So there's
Hey.
two. Got cranberry sauce one, white meat two.
Maple turkey fixes the white meat. I'm telling you. All right, I'm seeing here from David. First Thanksgiving out with my youngest brother. Let me see here. First Thanksgiving without my youngest brother Darren, who passed from cancer a few months back, and his family came, and my other brother came with his family. Well, I love opportunities like that where you can come and gather and remember lives well lived, and it can be a hard day, but definitely one where many stories are shared. And man, isn't it crazy, Ricky? Like just a few years ago, we lived in a world where stuff like that wasn't possible because the world fell apart during a pandemic, and it just puts things into perspective of just how important these kinds of gatherings really are.
Yeah, it's extremely important for us to just try to get together as much as we can. Everybody knows, everybody's probably watching is probably a league driver. Like family, man, family means everything to me. And so to have a brother in this league participating, I know not a lot of people agree with his driving style, but just to have him out there, and we have this bond now that can never be taken away from us. But to see Mayo get a chance to spend time with his family, and hopefully everyone in our league had an opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah.
I know a couple of my friends went down to the homeless shelter and gave food out to those people, and who aren't fortunate enough to have a Thanksgiving with family and friends. So, always thankful for those guys, and I'm thankful for everybody that's participating in this league, especially you putting this thing whole together as fast as we did it. We're 7 episodes into it now, so I'm extremely thankful that you put everything together, and being a friend for me, and you check in on me weekly. There's some things that people aren't going to know and understand what's going on with me, but to have somebody check in on you consistently, that means a lot to me, and just extremely thankful for everybody that's a part of this thing.
Yep, that's what it's all about. It's not about the end, it's about the journey. So, pretty cool to be able to have all this with our iRacing family here, and I know some fans are watching as well. So, pretty cool. By the way, my overrated dish is pumpkin pie, but I don't think that'll ruffle too many feathers. So, look at him go! Look at him go! So, listen. How many times throughout the year have you said, I could really eat a pumpkin pie right now?
Probably just Thanksgiving.
Then it's overrated. So it's a scam brought to you by Big Pumpkin, okay? Get it through your heads. The only time you want pumpkin pie is Thanksgiving, and you can't tell me it's not a hot July day and you're just beaming for pumpkin pie. It only happens at Thanksgiving. So there you go. Anyway, good enough pit stop. Let's roll away now. So, thank you for bearing with us for our probably one of the more entertaining pit stops we'll ever have. Yeah, there's my guy Wade. He says I hate pumpkin pie. There we go. I don't hate pumpkin pie. I just think it's overrated. All right, let's get into Darlington Throwback Week for Friday Night Fuel. This is really, really cool because we do something special here, and we want to sort of mimic what real life NASCAR does, and we're able to come together and make our own paints or have friends that make paints and pay homage to some awesome drivers in the past. And we've got some awesome stories to talk about with some of the paints that were submitted to me that I can curate, and we can go over together here, Ricky, and I want to hear from the chat what's your opinions about some of these paints. And I mean, it's not like a contest, we're not picking a winner or anything, but it'd be really cool to just thumb through some of these paints for Friday Night Fuel. So let's take a look at the Darlington Throwback paints for this week. I'm going to try to turn it on now. Maybe. There we go. All right. Nope. Sorry. It's a disaster. There we go. All right. Our first paint is a new look on a old flare to Sterling Marlin. This is David Modesbaugh for Spin Move Racing, throwing it back to the Silver Bullet. He's got David loves his chrome, and so this is definitely one of the chromiest cars I've ever seen him make. But in my opinion, this is one of the better cars David has ever made. So what's your opinion here, Ricky, about the new look on the Silver Bullet?
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have internet connections. That would be an awesome ride to see going around Darlington, especially at night with all that chrome going on. And I like how he did the mountains in the back, and it's the Silver Bullet. I like how the Coors Light isn't on the quarter panel. It's basically going diagonal on the door, trying to fill that space. And that's one of the things with these next gens. It's hard to fill that back logo or that door area because the number's shifted forward. But yeah, I think that's a cool paint. I'm excited to see that on track, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see all the paints tomorrow night. It's going to be so much fun seeing everyone's paint.
All right, let's move on. There we go. The next paint is my paint, brought to reflect the Eagle 1 paint that Mark Martin won at his first ever Winston victory. Yes, winning the Winston for Mark Martin. That was the night where Jeff Gordon ran out of fuel on the final lap. and Ray Evernham couldn't believe it. He blamed it. Well, Gordon blamed it on the engine, and Ray blamed it on the fuel, and nobody knows. So Mark was the beneficiary of that on on that night, and was able to scamper away with victory. Running the six, for me this year has sort of opened up the opportunities to sort of use the old fonts and things like that. So really having this paint, I've ran it before. It means a lot to me personally, and having this out here again is really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on that little backstory for our viewers. So we were in another league, and Zach had a chance to race for a championship. That's actually the paint that Zach won a championship in. So that's where he talks about it means a lot to him more personally than anything, just because he's had an opportunity to run for a championship and win a championship in that paint. So to see him bring that back, I'm sure it brings back a lot of memories of that night, of what happened in that event, and paying homage to one of his favorite all-time racers in Mark Martin. I know Zach is a big Mark Martin fan, and I follow Zach on Twitter, and to see him interact with Mark, and when Mark likes his tweets, to see him post in our team Discord, it's pretty cool to have a Hall of Fame NASCAR driver interact with you via social media. So Zach, I'm a big fan of this paint. I think it does tremendous honor not only to Mark, but it shows what you've come across and how much you've grown in the iRacing platform of your skill set. So yeah, that's going to be another one I'm going to look forward to seeing on track tomorrow.
I hope you just see the rear bumper of it, you and everybody else. So, all right, let's move on here. Have a video running, so we got to wait a few moments, but the wait is worth it because look at this graphic that we have going on here for the Gonzalez brothers. We have the Batman versus the Joker with Ricky and Mark. Explain this, Ricky, because there's a huge story that goes behind both of these paints.
Yeah, so with Mark being my brother, we wanted to do something kind of together and see what we could come up with. And I remember these two cars being on track at Charlotte Motor Speedway the second time around. So not for the 600, but for the fall race that they did. And it was Kenny Irwin and Dale Jarrett who ran that. So Mark being in the and then we're going to take on the Joker. We'll be the villain, I guess you could say, tomorrow night. And Wes was graceful enough to make the graphic for us. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to run this paint tomorrow. And if the broadcast does a fan vote, I am praying that we win that fan vote. Wes did a really good job of making these two paints. I'm excited to see us race these tomorrow. And me and Wes kind of bounced ideas. He tried to make it as original as the Joker car was, and as original as the Batman car was. So we'll see what we can do tomorrow night. Yeah, we're gonna go against each other. It's me and Mark. So same as Wade and Gary, I don't care if I win the race. I just got to finish in front of Mark. That's my goal tomorrow night. So we're gonna see if we can best him. And yeah, I love these paints. I love what Wes did with the ha-has on the side and on the hood. And he threw the Legacy Power. He threw in the Quality Care sponsorship, and UPS is on it, which is Mark's scheme that he's had all night or all year. So yeah, these two are going to be really, really fun. A story within the story, right? So hopefully we can better Mark tomorrow night.
Yeah, pretty cool there, and awesome story for Teal. Awesome story between these two paints. Yeah, this. Oh my goodness, they're all piling on Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah,
oh no. So the sound issue I'm running into is could very well be having my worst fears come to life right now, which would be my earbuds slowly dying while we're still on air, which means none of you would be able to hear Ricky. And if that were to happen, folks, if Ricky just cuts out for a long period of time, I will do an emergency swap. There's a few things I'd have to change in our settings, but we would be right back. So don't go anywhere. So if nothing happens, I'd even just get rid of the video so you can see me frantically changing stuff. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it happened for a split second, and now I'm super paranoid. So let's keep going with these paints so I stop thinking about the sound issues. All right, let's see what is next. Oh, looky here. We have the familiar Budweiser 8. This is one of the first paints that we get to see that are going to reflect a whole stable of cars. So, really interesting to see later on what ALR is bringing to the table. But, Ricky, starting out here strong with the Budweiser 8.
Yeah, this is probably the 2001 paint because I know we're going to see more of these cars later on as we go through them, but I do believe this is a Dale Jr. 2001 paint. I love that they did that, and so we'll see, you know, what the 9's doing, we'll see what the 22's doing, and the 29. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of running all those DEI paints. I grew up a big Dale Jr. fan. So to see this familiar 8, we saw it was it last weekend? I think we saw it last weekend when Junior had a chance to run the late model. So kudos to the guys at ALR for coming up with these paint schemes and bringing not only the whole stable, but there's also a familiar car that we're going to see later on in the show.
Yeah, so Chaffin out here going to run the 8 machine, I think. I'm trying to remember all the numbers offhand, but moving forward here with some more paints. We're going in numerical order, by the way, and right away we are treated to another from the ALR stable, the number 9, racing this Napa Auto Parts throwback.
Yeah, that's a Michael Waltrip paint. So anybody, again, so Zach will say the paint. I'll try to give a little history of it. That's the same car Michael won the 2001 Daytona 500. And it was a dark day for NASCAR that day, as the passing of Dale Earnhardt Sr. And so to see them pay homage to that 2001 season again, I love it. I like what they're doing with throwing it back to 2001. I mean, that's over 20 years ago, Zach. I was 11 years old when these cars were on track that day, and really, really cool to see. They even had the Oreo, the Nilla right there on near the wheel well, and to see that expansion of the Napa Auto Parts, it really pops. And that blue, I'm a big fan of that blue. It just eye pops you, and hopefully one day maybe Chase Elliott runs something similar to this paint that we're seeing now.
That'd be really cool to see Chase run something looking like this, but you can see it on Snake Bitten Gaming on Friday, watching Friday Night Fuel around Darlington. Let's see who's next here. Our buddy Brett Bullard running this throwback. We have from him, he was able to actually drop a trailer for us in chat. Sort of spoiled us with with the whole show as he debuted this throwback Armor All paint.
Yeah, it's a throwback to Neil Bonnet. So he raced this. It was a 1976 Chevrolet Laguna. And so again, Wes did the paint for our team, and there was numerous paints that Brett could have ran, and he decided to pick this one. And that's another. I think one day Neil's going to be in the Hall of Fame, personally. So to see him do a throwback to Neil Bonnet, who was really good friends with Dale Sr., that's pretty cool of him to pay homage to the Armor All paint back in 1976.
All right, good paint there from Brett. Now looking forward to the next edition, and this one's got a really cool story here. We have James Morris running the 18 ESX car, and this story Teal was able to give to me. This was Teal's third team car back in the day. As you can see, there's a picture up there. Here's the story. This group were able to run at their local tracks for quite some time, and brought in a buddy to come in and race who owned his own stuff but was struggling. So these guys were able to sort of adopt him. His name is Van Williams, and Van was able to come on in, put him in a car, and the last race of the season, this group was able to give Van Williams his first ever win. And that's the picture you see there on the screen, which is Van holding the checkered flag, able to be extremely happy for his hard work and being noticed by another team, sort of being brought on as the third car. And what a cool moment to be able to get Williams his first win, and then 20 years later, JST Racing was able to help him out to carrier on racing with his family. So this team's also connected with Williams even to today. So just a really special story. This group's been able to sort of link arms with a local dirt hero and grant him a win, and then grant him a relationship that's over 20 years in the making.
Yeah, that's cool too. I love that you're bringing the family aspect into this, and to see this race car back on a virtual racetrack. That's still pretty awesome to pay homage to your past and to give it to one of your teammates. That's really cool, and I love the background that you just went over, Zach, of sharing that story of how all this came together.
Yeah, it's crazy because Van has goodness gracious, Van was able to build his own little team and score some wins later on with Evan Williams. Yes, so multi-generational stuff going on here with JST Racing, where they just build winners, and pretty cool. Awesome local story. Let's see what's next here. Speaking of teal, here we go. The real deal here to what is a pretty awesome throwback here. Being able to take a look at this number 20 machine. It's awesome to have the number of a driver with so many iconic paints. I can now say that running the 6. I'm sure Teal feels the same way in the 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a Tony Stewart throwback, and I'm going to be honest, I can't remember when Tony ran this, but to see Teal, I mean, that's a lot of work to just get the base paint and to get the white to kind of match with the orange that's going along on the side. And I mean, the logos, those are easy to do, but I feel like him trying to get the base, that was probably the most difficult part. It looks like it's around 2003, maybe 2004. That's where I'm guessing. I want to say he ran this at Michigan, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head that's when this paint was ran. But yeah, throwing it back to Tony Stewart, another 3-time NASCAR champion. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame too. Currently doing NHRA Top Fuel drag racing now with his wife, Leah Pruitt. He actually took over the car this season, with Leah being having their first child. And it was real cool to see Tony still involved with the racing team. And I know he's not into NASCAR anymore with the shutdown of Stewart-Haas Racing. But I feel like all his focus now has been on that NHRA drag racing team. And Teal, this is a really, really good paint that you made, my friend. And it's going to look good when the 7 goes by it tomorrow night.
Oh, goodness gracious. He can't even be kind all the way through a bit. All right. We got another DEI throwback here. The number 22 Pennzoil. That relationship still carries on today, but the look looks a little bit different. Another DEI throwback for you, Ricky.
Yeah, Steve Park. So Steve Park drove the second car. Michael was the third, and then obviously, well, I guess you can say actually it was Steve Park was the first car. Dale Jr. was the second, and Michael was the third. But yeah, to see Gary run that Pennzoil machine, I'm just glad it's not a Joey Logano paint. And see him pay homage to Steve Park, who was obviously DEI's first driver, even in the Busch Series at the time. That's what it was called, the Busch Series, NASCAR Busch Series. And yeah, another one, Oreo. Nilla's on the side right there. They got the big logo on the hood that was all black, and then you got the Pennzoil name going down the side of the race car. So that's another cool paint. He even has the We Care right there on the back quarter panel. So yeah, these guys did a really good job of making that stable look true to the 2001 season.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Trying to keep this moving along, and there you go. What could have been in another universe, I guess, the 29 donning the iconic Dale Earnhardt paint.
Yeah, so this was the I haven't seen the paint yet on my screen yet, but to see Dale Senior back, I believe this is the 2000 paint. Now that it's popped up on my screen, you see the Burger King logo. That's how I know it was the 2000 race, the season. In 2001, RCR dropped Burger King and signed Sonic. So you would see the Sonic emblem there on the where the Burger King logo is. That's how I know what year that would have happened. So to see the black 29, and who knows, Earnhardt retires maybe after the end of the 2001 2002 season. Maybe we see this with Kevin Harvick, and we will never know what happens with the passing of Dale Senior. We'll never know what that paint would have looked like once Senior got out of the car. But to see it on a 29, that brings back a lot of memories with Kevin Harvick. To see that, but yeah, we'll see what it looks like tomorrow night when we go racing.
Really cool paint there. Awesome to see the 29 dawning. A paint that weirdly, coincidentally, is linked in a fashion where we wonder what could have been. And so let's take a look here at our buddy Wes. Wes is running a throwback to a driver who he is currently racing against, John Garrett. Yes, this is a throwback to John Garrett and his time in ARCA.
Yeah, so there's a little backstory with this. So every time the ARCA Menard Series went to Kansas, John would do something with Wes where he would have his sister's ribbon, and when we get to Kansas, we'll preview that on that show. And so John was gracious enough to give Wes and his family pit passes, hot passes for that race. Wes, I believe in them, sat behind the pit box and watched the race from the pit box. They got a picture with John with the car, and he got pictures up close with the logo. And so Wes wanted to just pay homage to what Garrett means to him personally, what he's done for his family. And so to see Wes do this and support Garrett's family, who recently his father passed away, and Garrett's gone through a rough patch right now. He lost his mother-in-law this year. His dad passed away. So to see Wes have a kind heart and to come up with this paint, and you see it on the side right there in memory of Michael Garrett. I'm sure Garrett choked up a little bit when he saw the paint when Wes put it in the showroom in our Discord. So to see Wes pay homage to a competitor, but someone who also means a lot to him and his family, that's pretty cool to see.
Awesome tribute there, and that goes back to how we're looking out for each other and trying to see the best in one another. And at the end of the day, we're just people on here playing a video game, and there's so much more that comes that can come with the territory, and awesome relationship there to see Garrett and his ARCA ride on the 35. And we're brought to our last paint here, Kirby Caputa here in the number 83 ride. This is the White Lightning paint scheme for Jimmy Johnson. It was an attempted rebrand from the Lowe's car to the white paint scheme, and it didn't do very well for its first year in 2013. 7 starts, 1 win. It did well, I guess I should say, that year. As they were testing the waters in 2013, 7 wins, or goodness gracious, 7 starts, 1 win, 4 top 10s. There we go.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks. In 2014, though, this paint was cursed. Every time Jimmy was able to get out on the racetrack, bad things would happen. Tire issues, the attack of Brian Vickers, self-spins, terrible restarts. Even Jimmy Johnson himself thought it was cursed. He finished, on average, 15th in this paint. And it is... Ricky, I just want you to know, Kirby made sure that he didn't copy the 2014 cursed paint. He copied the 2013 good paint. So this is the White Lightning that actually worked.
All right. Yep. We can just move on now. We're good. We're good on this. No, that's cool. I know Kirby's a really big Jimmy Johnson fan. it's a shame that he didn't do an Alex Bowman fan. I hear he's a big Alex Bowman. Like he's more into Alex Bowman than I am. So, um, really shocked to see him not run one of those paints. But no, I know how big of a fan he is of Jimmy's, and so to see the White Lightning back out on the track tomorrow night is going to be cool. Kirby's going to need a bounce back. We talked about it in the points section. Maybe the 2013 paint is what elevates him to make sure that he runs well tomorrow. So, yeah, not the cursed one. Maybe it's the 2013 one, and we can see Kirby run up towards the front of the field tomorrow night and have a good showing. That way, he can just solidify himself and lock himself into the playoffs tomorrow night, and not have to worry about what's going to happen next week at Pocono.
Large shoes to fill in 7 times paint, so we'll see if Kirby can rekindle some magic as we're back now in Jimmy Johnson's paint. So excited to bring those paints to you guys out there in YouTube land. I know that there's plenty more of paints to be found, but those were the paints that were submitted to me. So being able to whip that all together for you guys, for us to take a look at the cars before they're zooming across the screen. That's pretty cool. Let's talk a little bit about Darlington now. I know we've been on for a long time, but thank you for bearing with us. This road trip's a little longer than normal, but let's talk about this incredible racetrack. So prestigious, and it's the one that indeed is too tough to tame. This racetrack was, well, once a minnow pond. Yes, this humble track had its beginnings in very unsuspecting ways by Harold Brassington. He was able to buddy up with the France family, and on a trip to Indianapolis, he thought to himself, if they can build something like that out there, I will try to build one of my own in my backyard. And Darlington was born. And you got to see this tremendous racetrack come together. And in the beginning of her history, it was not without controversy. Ricky, this is probably one of the most interesting pieces of history I have found on a racetrack, and I want to share it here with the YouTube audience, because the first Southern 500 is actually contested throughout history. The winner is declared as a driver, but there are a majority of field members that debate over who the true winner might be. And there's a reason for that. And, well, here's why. The first Southern 500 is contested. IndyCar driver Johnny Martz, who showed up as a spectator, looked at practice and figured, I can go and do what these guys are doing. He had a car that was bought for him, and then from the stands, he ran down and saw this race car that was bought for him, that was used as a daily driver from somebody else to go and buy errands. He won the Southern 500 after being its slowest qualifier on track. He ran the full 500 miles of the Southern 500 on the same set of tires. Yes. It was all witnessed by Firestone's Bill McRae. And with this controversy with Firestone, people started to wonder, how in the world did this nobody from the crowd come to be the winner of this first Southern 500 at Darlington? Well, it was almost a story that never actually happened. The night before the race, Mance attended a party in Myrtle Beach and almost didn't make it back in time for the race. He popped 2 aspirins and he buckled up in his car and decided he was just going to go cruising around for 500 miles, and that's exactly what he did on one pair of tires. This was probably one of the more entertaining stories I've ever seen doing history on any of these racetracks. And from those moments to others throughout NASCAR's history, the track Too Tough to Tame surely is one that produces story after story after story, memory after memory. And that holds true with us as iRacers as well. This track just has a knack, for as unique as she might be, to still produce some awesome racing and some great, great storylines. So, Ricky, what will it take to be a part of the next big story at Darlington?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say tires this week. We all know as racers and competitors, and even the viewers who have watched this show in the past, we've always talked about tires. I'm not gonna talk about tires right now. It's gonna be how you attack this racetrack. How do you set up turns 1 and 2, right? Staying away from the wall in 3 and 4. You know, it's a double apex corner in turns 1 and 2. Do you touch that wall as you're trying to apex to set you up for the second one that you need to hit? And then I'm going to look for the exit of 2. Everybody seems to push their luck on the exit of turn number 2. And that wall, even though it doesn't stick a hand out and bite you, it will. And so if you get into the gas, or if you miss that second apex in turns 1 and 2, you are going to hit that wall. And once you hit it, you're going off either somebody's nose, or you're going straight for the inside wall. So I'm going to look for the people who take care of their stuff on the exit of 2 to make sure that they can still be there at the end of the race. Another aspect I'm looking at is there is multiple lines you can take in turns 3 and 4. I know where one driver, and he's been in our chat this evening. I know where that driver is going to be. He's going to be near the wall. That's where he lives. That's where his mojo is. He knows how to do it. All power to him. Do you get that Darlington stripe? And then after a certain amount of times of getting that Darlington stripe, when do you break your toe lead? And so when do you run the high side? When do you decide, okay, tonight, right now is not the great moment to do this. I'm just gonna save my stuff and put it there. I'm gonna run the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4 until I have to absolutely run the outside of 3 and 4. So those are going to be my keys to the race. We're again not going to talk tires. We're going to talk about driving style and see how each competitor attacks this 1.1 miles racetrack. It's going to be a long race tomorrow night. 220 laps. Man, last season, Zach, I think we did close to like 240, 241. So you're going to have to be patient at all times. There's going to be a halfway break, 110 laps into the race. I haven't had an opportunity to test. I know Till dropped the setup, I want to say 2 days ago, or it might have been yesterday. I mean, that's how active I've been, obviously, in the Discord. I can't remember when Till posted the setup, but you're going to have to run laps to get used to that, whatever that setup may be. Is it loose? Is it tight? I don't know. Usually I just use the 50-minute practice, and that's where I figure it out. And so for the drivers who have been practicing all week, I mean, throw up some AI races if you're Wade, if you're Gary, who are battling for that rookie spot and battling for that last championship spot. Try to get used to it. Let's see where the car is great. Let's see where it needs a little bit more work. Do I need to back up my corners? Do I need to charge the corner? What are some of the things that I need to do as a competitor to make sure that I can get a top 5 finish and finish in front of each other at the end of the night?
Yeah, certainly driving styles will be on full display tomorrow. I think you're going to have those who are more risk adverse try to wrap the bottom in 3 and 4 as much as they possibly can, and then those who have a knack for ripping the wall are going to be afraid to knock down a board or two to get that stripe to earn your right to race around Darlington and try to make some noise. Both lines produce winners. I remember very clearly back in 2009, Mark Martin wind up winning at Darlington, and he was a bottom feeder his whole career. And there were some days I was so mad Mark Martin wouldn't run the top, but dang it, he drove the bottom, and he could wrap the bottom in 3 and 4 like nobody's business. And so both can win. Both can win. And so just got to find out which one works for you. we're at the point in the show that I'm now starting to dread, because it does hold a little bit of weight that through some way, shape, or form, even when I'm wrong, I'm sort of right. So here we are when we make predictions when it comes to who snags the win at Darlington. I knew who I was going to pick probably 2 or 3 days ago, and I am now Ricky. I'm an agent for chaos. I'm going to use these predictive powers to produce as much chaos as I possibly can. Now, we know we can't get 12 winners in the playoffs, but I can sure dang try. And I'm going to use my powers for good and try to get a new winner in Victory Lane this week at Darlington. We've talked about him a lot tonight, coincidentally, and I know he's in the chat. I'm picking Spencer Teal to get the victory at Darlington. I've raced around Spence around this joint a time or two. I know how he can run this racetrack and do it well, and after all, he's the guy with the setup. So we'll see what works. I know, hey, right now he's got more practice than you do, so it's fair. But I'm picking Spencer Teal to snag the win here. I think he does have a good blend of when to push and when to just sort of cruise. And on one of the longest races of the season, Ricky, you got to have that if you want to survive to the end. And I think Spence has got a good head on his shoulders to make that happen.
He's been fast all year long when he's had the opportunity to show up and race. I know he works weekends, and so it's hard for him sometimes to get online and have fun with us. But he's been quick all year long. Nashville Fairgrounds on the podium. You know, he was second at one point 2 weeks ago. He was trying to find a way to get around the 7, and thankfully he didn't. But he's quick. He has the speed to be up front, and I believe if he's able to show up every single week, he's in the top 5 in points. Absolutely. Easily, hands down. And this is his only shot to get into the playoffs if he can. He needs to win a race, and this is a great opportunity for him to do that. It's a Spencer Teal track. It's a long race. It's going to be an endurance race on an oval, even though we're not on a road course. It's an endurance oval race tomorrow night. And I believe if Teal can do what he needs to do, get some stage points there at the halfway break, come down. I don't want to say go off strategy with the leaders, because that can put you in the back in a hurry. But try to do something different where you gap them a little bit more. And who knows? Maybe he is in victory lane, and now we're looking at a new winner, and he's locked himself in to go race for a championship. And I'm pretty sure if as an admin group, if we all came together, we would grant him a waiver, just like they do in real life. We'd grant Spencer a waiver, and he'd be able to race for a championship. He deserves it. He's done a phenomenal as a person who's been on the admin group. He messages me and John all the time, asking about certain things and this and that. And so I look up to Spence when it comes to making certain decisions for the league. And yeah, phenomenal person, phenomenal driver. Hopefully he can get it done tomorrow night. But I'm also praying he doesn't get it done tomorrow night. Again, got to throw the jabs out there. Some of these guys are my friends, and we got to make fun of each other. And I see Teal. Don't worry, the 7 is definitely going to get touched by the wall, especially when the 20 is driving around him. So that was my little jab back, Teal, back to you. So now the ball's in your court, and let's see what you got.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, I think we've had our fill. You're all filled up and ready to go. If you like what you see here, if you're interested in viewing Friday Night Fuel, just go over to Facebook and you'll find Snake Bitten Gaming over there. Friday night we'll be able to showcase all the paints and all the talent and maybe a scrape or two along the way. You are now all caught up. We were able to talk about what was, take a break in the middle, talk about pumpkin pie, and then talk about Darlington. And I'm so excited to be able to be back in this group and to race at an awesome racetrack. filled with amazing paints and being able to bring you guys the thrills as you watch in the audience. For everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for making tonight interesting. If you like what you see here, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to grow this channel and to make this a premium stop for anybody who might be looking into Friday Night Fuel. For my broadcast partner, Ricky, my name is Zach Woods, and we will talk to you again on the next road trip real soon.